All right, we're live.
Hey, welcome back to BRANTIM Live. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon E. Brooks.
And I'm Tim Milliken.
All right, so last week, thanks to the wonderful Agnes Bruckner for joining us. She had a great interview with her, and this one's going to be another banger tonight with another fantastic guest. But first, we just want to get some business out of the way. Tim's going to talk a little bit about the convention we're doing this summer.
Yeah, so the Atlantic City Celebrity Convention, it's going to be at ACX1 Studios, on Caesars Pier on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Amazing, one-of-a-kind venue. We're going to have several guests and all different walks of life, all different films, television, now wrestlers. We just announced Bret Hart today, the Hitman, so that's a pretty big one. And he might not be the last wrestler we announced, but yeah, we have that and potentially some more people from different backgrounds and whatnot. But yeah, so you can get make sure you get tickets because the VIP parties, the kickoff party on Thursday, which is 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. red carpet, followed by a live performance from C. Thomas Howell from 7:30 to 8:30. And then 9 to 1 a.m. Is the VIP after party, the kickoff after party. And then we also have after parties on Friday and Saturday night. But on Sunday, after the convention's over, we have a special screening of The Outsiders with C. Thomas Howell in attendance, Ponyboy Curtis himself. Tickets for that are only $20 for the screening. And you don't need a ticket to the convention to get into the screening because it's after the convention, really. And it's $40 for a meet and greet with Tommy after the Q&A and screening of The Outsiders. But that said, we did put up a boatload of pro photo opportunities on our website for sale, for pre-sale. So please get those because we need to, map out our schedule. And most of those are set for Friday and Saturday at this time. If any of those in particular sell extremely well, we'll have to open some up for Sunday as well. So go to BRANTIM, just like here, as is announced on our YouTube channel and everywhere else. BRANTIM, BRANTIM.realms.tv. That's our website. You can find all the information about the convention, all of our latest guests, photo ops. Also, if you're not going to be able to make the convention for any reason and you want some autographs, we do have a mail-in partner, J&J Authentics. Brandon's wearing their shirt today. And J&J Authentics, yep, great people. And they're the ones who also helped us get Bret Hart over the line. So thank you guys. And yeah, so get your tickets at brantim.realms.tv. We're going to be announcing some more guests over the next couple of weeks, our final wave of celebrity guests. So don't wait to buy your tickets. Go ahead and get them now. Weekend passes, single day passes. Yeah, I think that's it.
Awesome. So, without further ado, our guest tonight's a fantastic actor that's been in the business for a long time. I follow him from the very beginning. He's not only an actor, he does amazing voiceover work. Films like Better Luck Tomorrow by Justin Lin, that's one of my favorites all time, indie-wise. And also stuff like Adam Green's Hatchet and, of course, General Hospital that we'll talk about a little bit later. So, without further ado, welcome to BRANTIM Live, Parry Shen.
Hey,
Barry. How are you tonight?
Good to see you.
Excellent, man. Excellent.
Great. Thank you for coming, man. We appreciate it. Like I said, long time admirer of your work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So how I always start these things is that I just want to give the audience a little bit of background on you. Tell us how you got started in this crazy business back in whenever.
I would say I got started around like 1997-ish. I just graduated college and I knew I wanted to work in film and television. So I was born and raised in New York. I didn't want to do stage. I just loved the film format or television format. I just love that it kind of like stays there forever,
Yeah.
If you do a good job, it kind of like stays there, and it becomes someone's, favorite, and you rewatch it. And I love that. And I want to be that for somebody, if I was that fortunate. So yeah, pretty much just I was a business major. I kind of like did like acting on the side. I joined like a lot of like talent shows with my friends, and we wrote our own things. I learned kind of like hands-on, and I was a business major, so I was like, I kind of saw everyone who was ahead of me kind of like going that track purely specifically like accounting, and it was like I was like, oh my gosh, it's like putting me to sleep. I was like, oh man, is this gonna be my life? And I said, if I was supposed to do something, impractical, it had to be now when I had like no ties, no kids, no family, a pension or something like that. So I just picked up my bags and just came out here and then kind of got a lot of formal training. That kind of like a big thing was that I would always pay attention to the Oscars, the Academy Awards, when the winners would thank their instructors, and I would study with them, because they were, they were the best. Yeah. So I knew I had a lot of catch up in terms of formal training, but I had a lot of instinctual things too that I knew that I couldn't just bank on. So
yeah.
So did you have support of family or people around you? I know that's been a kind of a thing in past podcasts I've done where sometimes family is like, hey, get a real job or get your head out of the clouds. Did you have that from family or friends or?
Absolutely. And it varies, where people are trying to be kind, but they're also trying to protect you. And so I got that from my mom and family members, and to the other extreme where I thought I had like friends from high school. My friends would tell me like, oh my God, this guy John was like laughing and said, oh my God, I thought Parry was the most practical one of us all. And that just like fuels me, because every once in a while I'll go on Facebook and see what that guy's doing.
Yeah.
So it fuels you, and at the same time, I got to be honest, it messes with you too, because people are trying to be, if they offer like a job that's not say in the business, but it's not something I want to do, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, I've got that as a safety net. I mean, and then it forces you, you can't help it. You are not present in what you're doing and going all in and committing, because you're like, oh, I've got this if this doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And so it with people with best intentions, I have to say, even to this day, they'll get these opportunities, and I'm like, it's not something I want to do, but it messes with my head sometimes, and you got to kind of like trust yourself and go, okay, I have something to offer, and as you get projects, you look back at them, you're like, okay, I've done that. Okay. So but it's a constant struggle all the time.
Absolutely. So what was your first actual job that you got? Like that maybe people don't know, maybe they do. Maybe it was one of the bigger ones that I mentioned already.
It was a Stouffer's lasagna commercial. And
commercials
are great because they just are looking for a look, right? If you're feeding that story, there's really not much acting, quote unquote, there's not like dialogue. It's just kind of like a reaction. Thank you, man. So it was a kid who was coming home from college, and his mom is making his Stouffer's lasagna. But he goes, oh, hey mom, I brought 20 guys from the college from me, back home. And then that's, everyone's like filing and you just improv. And I said, thanks, Mrs. C, and this we needed a ton of people, which was great. So the odds were in my favor, I would think I was the only Asian guy at the audition. Cool, and that was my first one, and it paid nicely in terms of like residuals, because you get paid every time it aired. So that kind of helped me not needing like a day job, so that I had more money to like use for classes and headshots and paying to help my career instead of
so who did you start with? Who was your first instructor that you had from, like, I don't know, that you used more than once? Like
let's see, I did a lot. So the ones I learned like improv, because everyone from SNL was coming out of the Groundlings. So I studied improv with the Groundlings.
Cool.
Then a lot of people that I like, James Franco was coming out. He just got a Golden Globe for James Dean, and he studies at this thing called Playhouse West, which studies Meisner technique, which is from this guy Sanford Meisner. But then there's someone who does kind of like what's known as kind of like the method acting, even though it's kind of broad, which is like Stanislavski, is Uta Hagen, and she and a guy that studied under her was named Howard Fine, and Heidi Helen Davis. And that was kind of like my core. Those two instructors, Heidi and Howard, really kind of like, I kind of like took from every technique and kind of made it my own. But ultimately, my foundation is from like Stanislavski, Udo
Cool.
Hagen.
Right on.
Awesome. So how do you end up on Justin Lin's radar for one of my all-time favorite movies, indie or otherwise, Better Luck Tomorrow?
Right. That was basically, it was in Backstage West, which is basically if you don't have an agent or anything like that,
Yeah.
there's like kind of like 3 breakdowns, and usually people who have those casting notices can't afford to kind of pay a casting director. So it's kind of like an indie situation, but you got a lot of great gems of, future filmmakers of tomorrow. And that was in Backstage West. And my friend had auditioned for it and said, hey, you'd be good for this. And actually it was Aaron Takahashi, who does a lot of commercials. And I auditioned for it, and I actually know Justin. I knew Justin because I knew the person he was going out with, and at the time I'm like, hey, can I get in on this audition? I hear you're holding auditions, and he's like, well, if you look young enough, it's supposed to be high school kids. And then I auditioned and was paired off with the person who actually was playing the lead, ended up winding up playing the lead actress in the movie. So we had great chemistry from the get-go. And so I was very fortunate because during the callbacks, I got paired with another actress because Karen was late. And I was like, oh, and then it just goes to show, other person, great actor, but just we work the same way.
That chemistry,
Yeah, but I know this other actor. She's great. It just wasn't right. And then later, I was like, oh, dejected. And then about to leave. I'm like, thanks, Justin. And he's like, wait, could you stay and wait until Karen gets here? I'm like, oh, hell yeah. He finally showed up. We did our thing. And it was like, and I remember thinking, I'm going, wow, she is so good. If she is not one of his final choices, I don't know who he's going to pick. Not thinking about me. I'm like, she's awesome,
Yeah.
But we were working well together.
And that process then was that was kind of near to the beginning of Justin's great career. Was that something that you could almost foreshadow? Was that a good process working with him as the up and coming director?
I have to say, I didn't actually have that many opportunities to be a lead in a film, to even have something to compare to. All I know, I was like, finally, I have a project that I'm able to exercise everything that I've learned from Howard and Heidi.
Yes.
Yeah.
The 6 years prior, it was all a functional Asian character on the screen. Is because you're here because it's a Chinatown episode of Law and Order. That's right. You're the translator. Or we need a tech guy who's really good at computers.
Yeah.
Walks by, he gets he clams up.
Yeah.
That became my wheelhouse because I wanted to work. I mean, that's
of course. Yeah.
You had to be good at doing those things because that was the only things that were there. And so when and usually that character comes in on page 57. And I remember when I read for Better Luck Tomorrow, Justin's like, oh, the character I want you to read for starts on page 1. His name is Ben. I'm like, Ben starts. He's on the first page. And it was just so gratifying. So in hindsight, now that I've worked with a lot of people, Justin is a real big fan of basketball, and he treats it as such, as the head. He's like the coach, and he's rallying his team members and encouraging them and using their skill sets, their strengths and weaknesses together to work together and all rise at a high level. So that's rare.
Awesome.
Is there I have a quick question. So is there a role that you didn't get, but you were close to getting, that people wouldn't ever have imagined that you would have, or that you really wanted and you probably could have knocked it out of the park, that you missed out on? Or
it was close. Let's see. There was Harold and Kumar go to White Castle.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Really close on that one.
Wow.
But John did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
But it was close, and I felt I had a good beat on it.
Yeah.
The thing is that I grew up in Queens, New York. I love White Castle, and I got a lifetime card. That you can go to White Castle and get free White Castle. I'm like, oh man!
Shit.
That's awesome.
But I think that was such a great comedy, and just for two Asian American kids,
Yeah.
and it's a great story, universal, and resurgence for Neil Patrick Harris's career.
Yeah,
Oh,
true,
yeah.
true.
It was
Yeah.
great. I remember reading it. I was like dying, and I'm like, I want to say these words. Fantastic job.
Yeah, that always fascinates me. We've talked to a few other people, even not on this show, but we used to do podcasts, and that was always a question that always just amazed me when people were you find out things that you had no idea who doesn't get the part. You know what I mean? But then people were so close, and you just imagine like, wow, how different something could have turned out, or not. But yeah, thank you.
So one of my favorites, I mentioned to you pre-show, and this is earlier in your career. So I mean, if you have any stories or not, like I mentioned to you, I'm a long time friend of Tiffany Shepis, wonderful actress that's now on Picard and has done a lot of stuff. The Hazing, which was made by Rolf Konevsky. Any memories of shooting that film?
Yeah, Better Luck Tomorrow was in theaters when I booked that. So the guy who was with the producer, he remembered me the year prior when we were at Sundance, and he's like, "Oh, you're in that movie that's out right now." So I think that helped me, even though I did a really good audition. I felt I did a good audition, so I think that kind of helped me. And then so I was shooting that as Better Luck Tomorrow was in theaters, so it felt good because going from another project to another project, and Ralph's script was really great. It was at the I play one of the unlikely heroes at the end, so it's working with Tiffany, fantastic, and Nectar, and it's just like it was a great ensemble cast, and it kind of flipped a lot of expectations you have for a horror film on its head. Every
Absolutely.
time it's going one way, it goes
the other.
It flips.
Absolutely.
It was very clever and very smart.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
There are a lot of people that are finding this little movie and
oh,
this is great.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful.
Yeah, he re-released it. So yeah, so if you haven't checked it out, check out The Hazing. It's a fun little horror film. Absolutely. So one of the films that Tim and I were talking about a little bit before the show was I'd almost didn't forget about it, but it's been a while since I've seen it. Was The New Guy. Now was that? There's a lot of funny stuff in that. Like, what was your experience on this film? That right there, it had to be a hilarious
that project is like the ultimate Cinderella story, because I was in a really down part of my life and career. Like the commercial strike had just happened, and that's where, as I said before, a lot of actors make their income doing that. I'd always prided myself that I didn't have to wait tables, be like an actor statistic, but actors wait on tables because it allows you that flexibility, and you can make a lot of money in a short amount of time, and it's not hard, busy work that distracts you. And so I remember I had just bought a condo, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this mortgage is like just coming every month. And then I sucked it up, and I got my first job at Applebee's. I was supposed to start, and then I get a call, of course, from my agent saying, "Hey, I need you to read for this movie. It's a teen comedy." And then I'm like, it's one of those things, kind of like with Harold and Kumar. It was like effortless. I had a beat on the character. I'm like, I know what to do with this, and it was evident because as I did the audition, that's what Better Luck Tomorrow. That's my orgasm.
That's not it.
As I did the audition, the casting director is obviously liking me, and she keeps giving me more and more scenes. So I'm just cold reading at this point. I have no preparation. I'm just kind of like looking it over for like a few seconds and going, okay, let's go. And then just doing, that's what a cold read is. And so, but at the same time, I'm getting late for my first day at Applebee's. So I'm like looking at my phone. Yeah. And then the casting director's like, are you distracted because you have somewhere else to be? I'm like, actually, I've got my first day at Applebee's, and I'm like late, and I just don't want to make a bad first impression. And she's like, well, this is for a lead of a feature film, studio picture. And when she said that, I'm like, oh my God, just, I pushed that out. I'm like, what am I doing? Focus on this task. And I did it, knocked it out of the park, did like 4 extra scenes, changing my shirt while I'm in my boxers in my car, because I'm like in mid-change of my Applebee's outfit. Go to Applebee's. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. horrible first day impression. I'm like busting my hump, you know, shadowing my waiter, upselling, you know, selling appetizers.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's a call. This was before cell phones had a pager. I get a page. It's from my girlfriend at the time, now my wife. And I'm like, I ignore it. I get a phone call. There's a phone call at the bar. And then my boss picks up. He goes, Parry, it's for you. I'm like, oh my God, who is calling me? I'm so sorry. I don't know. And it's my agent. And he goes, Parry, you booked the part.
Nice.
We need you. The production has been calling all the Applebee's up and down the coast. And you need to fly out tomorrow because you're in a band and you need to learn your instrument. So we need to get you out there ASAP. So all of a sudden, at one point in my lowest, waiting tables thinking, okay, this is my life for now. Literally, the next day, I am in first class on my way to Austin, Texas, living there for 3 months, and it's sharing a hotel. Like had like all these actors were like shooting things there and like hanging out with Timothy Dalton because they were shooting American Outlaws, and then someone goes, hey, you know, I see that guy. His name is Colin Farrell. He's gonna be like the next big thing. Hanging out with Colin, telling him my Applebee's story, and he's like, Parry, that's a great story. That's a great effing story, you know. And it was like, this is nuts. This is nuts.
That's cool.
But at the same time, it's like, it's not luck. It's like preparedness meets the opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
I could have messed up the audition, but it was like, you know, I was honed and ready for when it came to take my shot. So yeah. And then all of a sudden, when I came back from shooting The New Guy, I had auditioned for Justin Lin's Better Like Tomorrow 3 months prior. He finally decided the day I got back, I was exhausted. He's like, hey, Better Like Tomorrow, do you want to be my Ben, the main character? I'm like,
nice.
Okay.
No more Applebee's.
Yeah.
That is awesome. See,
awesome.
it just shows you where you were supposed to be. Like, because again, that could have been something that could have been. I know so many people in this business that kind of get the 401k, they get the job, and it's the stability and then they start having a family, and then it becomes that. And even if they do a job here and there, you got to kind of hold on to that. Whereas that kind of told you right out the gate, leave Applebee's and follow your craft. So that's really
it was
awesome.
a crossroads, man. It was one of the definite crossroads in my career and life.
We have our head of security says, Parry, there will be White Castles waiting for you in photo ops.
Oh,
so don't you worry.
Good man, Manny.
and we actually do have a question from the chat, if you don't mind answering. So Yvette asks, of all the roles you played, which was the most challenging?
It was definitely Better Luck Tomorrow, because I haven't played many leads, like the main lead, maybe only twice, and that just like it even though it sounds like I want to be the lead, it's when you're in every scene, you have to be firing all the time, because you got to because obviously you rarely shoot in order, so you got to know what happened before, what's going to happen within the arc of it. So just doing that kind of work, as opposed to having the one scene, you do your best to try to shine and serve the story, and then you're done, you know? Whereas if you're a character, like the main character, you've got many ebbs and flows. And like sometimes if you feel like you didn't do well, you can still make it up on the next scene and sort of like say, you know, if you had low energy, maybe write it in to the next scene. Like, I was real tired that day, you know, until I got the next thing. And so you're working a lot more and challenging yourself. So Better Luck Tomorrow for sure. And I remember Justin, when he offered me the part, he says, I want this to be the best role that you've ever had. And it's definitely one of them. At the same time, like, whatever, dude. But
All right. Forgive me, audience. So my allergies are bothering me. So it's just like weeds everywhere in the country. So I took it earlier. It's just how we get it in. But one of my favorite questions on podcasts is this. It's about inhibitions in acting. Like we all have to obviously step outside of ourselves to play the roles and encompass them. Have you ever had those like insecurities? And this is going to this is going to be a two-part, the inhibitions, but one of the roles that a lot of fans asked us about is your role as Brad Cooper on General Hospital, obviously playing a homosexual character, and I mean, and all the responsibility that has for a lot of reasons. Was there any inhibitions about prior roles or playing that role of Brad on GH?
Not so much with Brad for General Hospital, because I've played gay characters in the past, and I've always had a good foundation from the start of with my acting, like Heidi and Howard, like kind of like the analogy that he gave is that, like, especially if you're playing a villain, the villain never thinks he's the villain, right?
Yeah.
If it's really good, if he's done,
Yeah.
all of his intentions are justified. All the characters in Goodfellas, you're rooting for them, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you see what they want, you know, and they were trying to take care of their family, you know, and so those things have always, like, if for like a character that has a different sexual orientation than I do, I just find the things that I find attractive in a male, you know. Like there's like, and it was easy. The guy who played my husband in the show, he's a good-looking dude. He's ripped. You know, I'm like, it's so hard just to keep up with him, you know? Because I don't want to be like showed up, you know, when we have our shirts off. So the one thing that kind of like made me nervous was doing the role justice, because I didn't want people to know that like, oh, I see right through him. He's so hesitant. He's definitely not gay, you know. Whereas when I'm in public and when they see me with my wife and kids, I love when fans go like, oh, and they like try to play it off. They thought that I was gay. And I'm like, oh, that's so great, you know. Because that's such a huge part of the population that is, you know, back then, you know, not as represented, that I wanted to do that role justice.
Yeah.
But for in terms of inhibitions, nothing really. Kind of like when something is, you probably heard this, people say that when they're scared of something, initially it's scary. Like if you gotta like cry and bawl or something, like, oh, can I do it? But then when you actually do, you know, get in there, it's kind of exhilarating because you're not autopilot, you know.
Yeah.
Like, crap, I don't have a sonnet now, you know, and maybe I don't do it as well as I wanted to, but I'm giving it my best at the time, you know.
It's awesome. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of responsibility. Now, was that process grueling? Had you done soap before GH? So I know the process of pages per day is a lot for actors. Right. So how was that for you?
Yeah. And that one, actually, now that I think of it, was one of the most challenging jobs in its own self, because I remember getting that job. It was in 2013. So at this point, I had been acting for like 15, 16 years. I kind of knew what to expect on all sets. I'd been on big movies, small movies, video games. I kind of knew what to expect. And it goes so unprecedentedly fast in soap operas that, like, I keep on saying to everybody that it kicked my ass out of complacency, because I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? You know, for example, in a feature film, a script is about 120 pages, 110. In General Hospital, they shoot that in a day. You know, so they're shooting a feature film in one day. It goes so incredibly fast. You got to make your choices, commit to them, and you get literally one shot, you know, and if it's good enough, they're moving on. And a lot of times you're going to be struggling with like, oh, but I could give you one more take. But if everyone gets one more take, that backs up the whole day. And, you know, people aren't going home. You know, the camera people are pissed off.
You've seen our guest list so far. Is there anybody that you've worked with on our list, or?
No, I don't think so. But there's a lot of people I definitely admire. I'm excited to meet, you know, that I didn't think that I would be able to. So yeah, cool. Especially C. Thomas Howell. I've admired him for a long time. Because when I think I wrote a blog one time, kind of comparing our trajectories. They're very different now, but like, it was like my Better Luck Tomorrow was kind of like an ensemble, bunch of guys, and his were the outsiders.
Yes.
You know, and then later, watching him, you know, there was a period of time where he was just getting a lot of flack for some of like the direct-to-film stuff that he would
Oh,
do.
yeah.
But actors know that it's not. You don't always get the offers. You're just trying to keep your head down and do good work. You know.
Exactly.
And same with like Nick Cage. You know, and people has said that I've never thought that any of the movies I did was the schlocky or whatever. I'm always trying to do the best job and serve the story. And so I have respect for that. And it's great to see him come back into the forefront when he in Spider-Man, I'm like, yes, somebody remembers him, like kind of like how Quentin Tarantino has this like log of like good actors that sometimes fall out of favor, but doesn't mean they're not good actors. Looking for, and I read Rob Lowe's autobiography, and he talks so much about his experience and gives so much props to C. Thomas Howell of saving him when it was a big scene where he had to like cry, and C. Thomas was the youngest of all of them, but he was like the most mature, giving them advice, and like there was this football that Francis Ford Coppola wanted them to play football with a bunch of neighborhood kids, and he could tell that they wanted to like mess up these pretty boy actors, and C. Thomas Howell is like, guys, we are not doing this. We are not getting hurt, just to build camaraderie. Not this movie. And he's this little 15-year-old kid telling all these let's go, we're moving out, Tom Cruise.
Exactly.
So, it's so impressive, all these stories about him. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I can't wait to get everybody together. Yeah,
that's awesome. So what is voiceover work like for Parry? Is that like is that a fun thing for you to step into a booth and kind of like that's a whole different world of a process?
Right. Yeah, it is. And actually another probably my most, for a while I would say was my most kind of favorite platform of acting, because I was in this video game called Sleeping Dogs where I played one of the main heavies, one of the villains.
Yeah.
And it was great because in live action, I can't play that because I'm limited to what you see here, 5'7" guy next door, not this guy who's like 6'5" with a wife beater ripped and like put his own voice. And like on the mocap screen, I'm like threatening guys who are taller than me, but on the computer they just make me look over him. It's fantastic. It becomes your avatar, and I was like, wow, this is opening up a whole bunch of stuff I was never allowed to play. And I love.
So is that like your not replacement for commercial work, but is it like something along those lines where does it pay the same, or is it similar to commercial work, or is it more toward like film or television pay?
It's its own thing. And here's the thing: the reason why actors know when this whole strike came out with AI was on the line and all that kind of stuff, because our union in the 80s, when they made up the video contracts, dropped the ball because video games were nothing. So they kind of poo-pooed it and said, sure, do whatever you want. And so now we don't get residuals at all for these games that are like billions of dollars that movies, change their opening weekend if, like, say, a huge game is coming out, so you get paid up front, you get paid separate for mocap and for the voice acting, so you only get paid twice, so that's a nice thing. And if it's your likeness, you get paid another bump too, but no residuals at all. It's kind of like a one-time upfront fee. So no matter how huge the game gets, you don't share in that at all. So
still a lot of work to do on those contracts there, but
but it's fun. It's great fun.
Yeah, we hear a lot about Kung Fu Panda and some other ones like that, where you're concerned, like fans of those characters. And so, I mean, it's a different world, but I mean, I haven't done that yet in my acting career, but it's something that hopefully is in my future. So one thing I wanted to, because a lot of people ask about Hatchet. That's a film series. One of my questions is that, was it predetermined by Adam Green or whoever from the beginning that you would be in every iteration of it all the way through Victor Crowley? Or
no. And what you guys had shared with me before we went live was that you kind of are getting people in that you want to work with. And
Yeah,
you've heard of good people.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Adam does. If he finds someone, he'll latch on to those people because life is too short to not surround you with good people.
Exactly.
That you can rely on, and you know what they can do, and you enjoy being and working with. So yeah, so your mantra is kind of Adam Green's mantra. And like when the family grows, like if you work with someone that I haven't, I already know we're on a secondhand thing because he's already vetted them. You know,
exactly.
I've got an idea. I don't have to worry about. Never have I worked with someone on an Adam Green project that he's worked with a lot before, and I've worked for the first time that I go, whoa, what a dick. You know, it's like, oh my God, I love this person. I know why he's part of this family, the Aeroscope family, which is Adam's production company. So yeah.
It would have been a lot funnier if you just kept coming back to auditions disguised differently. I mean, each time, but
right,
you again. No, that's great though.
He was like, he killed me off in the first one. He's like, oh, how do I? It just sucks that I killed you off in the first one. Well, you said he had a brother.
Oh, so good.
That's so awesome. So very. So have you been on the convention circuit before? Have you done many of these before? Or
I've done mostly horror. I've been brought in. I haven't done many of like kind of like general stuff and soap. So and I'm looking to get into like for like because I have Mortal Kombat coming out for like video games.
Yeah.
It's all still kind of newish to me because it's interesting. I mean, you have a convention literally for everything, right? So
everything.
Yeah. So what's kind of great about yours guys is this one in Atlantic City is there's a lot of different things for
that's what we were going for.
Wrestlers, and, you know.
Yeah, that's what we're going for. And we're also going to be doing. We've already booked dates for an animation con in March next year, which it'll be anything animated. We have video games, animated series, animated movies, anime. And then this Celebrity Con next year is going to be next July is going to be more action and crime themed, but it's still going to be very general, obviously.
That's cool.
But this is like our world. This is our WrestleMania one. This is the July one is our big one. Is going to be every year. But yeah, no, we wanted to start off with people that we knew or people that we knew who knew somebody and that we knew were good people and we would know would do well or haven't really done the market or. First time con. We have a bunch of people. It's their first con as well, and mixed in with people who've done it before many a time, and or just not, or like you said, just done horror cons or whatever. And there's actually somebody that's done horror cons that wasn't really even known for horror movies before. So we want to give them an opportunity to, be in a more generalized con, so that they can do well in the area as well. But yeah, it's mostly just like you said, good people, man, good people.
Yeah, and shout out to Asha who's the rep that she hooked us up with you. So that this is happening for Asha. She's amazing. I've known her for a few years, and she met her working with Tiffany Shepis at a show in Atlantic City. So like years ago. So yeah, shout out to her. Like she's the reason this is happening right now. So she's watching. Thank you very much, Asha. We appreciate you. So yeah, one of the questions we're going to wrap this up. One of the questions that I asked every show is that it's very kind of inspiring to a lot of the people that watch. Is like inspiration. This is a crazy business of ups and downs and ebb and flows. Just share some advice or words of wisdom for any potential people out there that want to be actors or even in film professionals in general.
The kind of cool thing that I have just recently have seen or just become aware of was seeing like people who are like being promoted as like studio heads or part of the academy or in production companies or just having their stock rise in the acting world are people like I'm like I kind of know all these people. And I think it just comes from just staying in it, you know, and it may seem when you're kind of like, it's kind of like the analogy I give is kind of like just say like Apple stock in 1980s, right?
Yeah.
If you just zoomed in from then, it was doing nothing, right? but over time, right? You zoom out, you're like, holy crap! It seems obvious that it goes like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's the same with people. People retire, they die, or they get disenchanted, and you have new people who have been doing this, and they get their shot to be in positions of power or lead a series, and it's kind of like, wow, okay, it's kind of inspiring to see that, and I think Seth Rogen recently hit on it in something where he's like, I don't know what he said verbatim, but the gist of it was that, like, if you stay in it, there's a chance that you will make it just by staying in it. But if you leave, there's absolutely certainty that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it vibed with what I was seeing with, like, for example, Janet Yang, who's part of, she's the president of the Academy Awards now. I remember when she was a producer, and we were talking. I was talking with her, just as like us, who our favorite actors and films were, and all of a sudden, and now she's here. Justin, indie roots, advertising Backstage West. I just heard a couple days ago he's like rumored to direct Spider-Man 4. It's like, dude,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. But again, you can't catch that break if you're not there to catch the break, right? I mean, just like in sports, same thing. Like if Tom Brady, if he wasn't there as third string or second string or whatever he was when Drew Bledsoe got hurt, then he never would have had his opportunity. And same thing. But you got to be there. You got to stay in the game.
And it's difficult. It's difficult. I mean, like, I've been in almost 25 years, and it doesn't get easier. It just, again,
just don't give
you
up,
almost build up that perseverance. And if it's in your blood and you're meant for it, just like you weren't meant to be at Applebee's forever, right? But you were meant to do what you do, and you do it great. So it's like that.
Perry said it best himself too. That it's you learn from everything, like from all your projects, good or bad or whatever it was, or however other people look at it. Is like you learn something from every one of your projects. Yeah, we said this off the air, actually. Sorry, Perry said this off the air, by the way. That basically he learned something from every single one of his projects. Everything, and you got to
look at that badass right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
Yeah, man, we're really excited to have you, man. We really are, and I can't wait to finally meet you, and Brandon the same way. But yeah, our fans are really excited too. Every time we post about you or have your picture in one of our posts, people are always up on it, and I'm really excited to see you. And I hope you have a great time when you come on out to Atlantic City and at the end of July.
Yeah.
Bonus question from someone, from a friend. What is there a role that Parry Shen has not played yet that he would want to play? A specific character or a type that's out there?
Let's see. I would say like action, like what you said, that the next convention was going to be like crime action, running down someone, chasing someone, tackling, like something physical.
Yeah.
It's like, be careful what you ask for, because I've done stunts and it's not fun. But something like that, it gets your heart pumping. It's anything that Tom Cruise does. I mean, it's amazing. It gets you into it. When you're at the gym on the treadmill, when those movies come on, it makes you want to keep running, right? So I would love something that gets the blood going for people.
Hell yeah.
You heard it here first. Parry Shen wants to hang from a plane. Like Tom Cruise. The next Mission Impossible. There you go. But Parry, thanks so much for spending some time with us tonight. You're a great dude, and we look forward to shaking your hand when you're in Atlantic City.
Yep.
And everybody, please go. Parry, tell us where people can find you on social media.
Just my name. Just spell it correctly. Parry. Don't put an E in there because it'll probably take you somewhere else. So it's on Instagram, on X, Facebook. Yeah. So
awesome. Well, everybody go check out Parry. Check out his new projects upcoming. I'm sure you have a lot of great stuff. Again, like I said prior to the show, thank you so much for your support on social media. It means a lot to us, and all of our fans and all of our staff. And please continue to do so, because like again, there's a lot of people every day that say we can't wait to meet Parry, and also from all the different walks of life that you've given us on screen, not just horror, soap opera, voiceover. Every other day, it's like something that somebody reaches out to.
I gotta find that Stouffer's commercial. Yeah, I gotta find that.
Yeah, we gotta find that Stouffer's commercial and show it like when you're on a panel at the event or something like that. See, this is where he started, and this is where he is now. So
yeah.
All right. So without further ado, thank you very much, everybody. BRANTIM Live, the great Parry Shen. Thank you. Have a good night, Parry. Thank you again.
You too.